Hi, I'm Claire, and if you found your way here tonight, I think there's a reason for that. There is a moment, and maybe you know exactly what I'm talking about, where you're lying in bed next to someone you've been with for 25 years, and you realise the space between you isn't just physical. It's Tuesday night. The house is quiet, the kids are grown, and you're lying there, staring at the ceiling, listening to him breathe, and something in your chest tightens. Not because anything terrible happened today, not because there was a fight or a betrayal or some dramatic revelation. It's worse than that. Nothing happened. Again. Another day where you existed in the same house, ate at the same table, maybe even watched the same show on the same couch, and felt absolutely nothing. No anger, no love, no resentment, just nothing. And that nothing, that's the thing that keeps you awake at 3 a.m. Because you can fight anger, you can work through betrayal, you can name a problem and try to solve it. But how do you fix nothing? How do you fix the absence of something you're not even sure was ever really there? If you're listening to this right now, maybe in bed, maybe sitting alone in the kitchen with a cup of tea that went cold an hour ago, stay with me, because what you're feeling has a name, and it's far more common than anyone is willing to talk about. You probably remember the exact moment you first felt it. Not the moment you fell out of love. That happened so gradually you didn't even notice. It was like a tide going out, so slowly that by the time you looked up the water was gone and you couldn't remember when it left. No. The moment you remember is different. It's the moment you realised you'd been performing. Maybe it was at a dinner party. Someone asked how you two were doing, and you heard yourself say, "We're great," with a smile so automatic, so rehearsed, it scared you. And on the drive home, sitting in the dark, the silence filling the car like something physical, you thought, when did I become this person? When did "we're great" become something I say instead of something I feel? Or maybe it was the anniversary. He posted the photo, the one from that trip 3 years ago, where you both looked happy. He wrote something sweet underneath, put a heart emoji, and your phone started buzzing with comments from friends saying, "Couple goals," and "You two are so lucky," and 25 years, that's amazing. And you sat in the bathroom with the door locked, reading those comments one by one, feeling like the loneliest woman on the planet. Because nobody sees what happens after the photo. Nobody sees the evenings where you pour a glass of wine at 6:30, not because you especially want wine, but because it gives your hand something to do while you figure out how to get through another night of sitting 3 feet apart and feeling like strangers in a waiting room. Nobody sees the scrolling, those hours of scrolling through your phone while he watches whatever he watches. And neither of you says a single word, and somehow that silence has become the loudest thing in your entire marriage. Nobody sees you standing at the kitchen window, looking out at the yard you've mowed and the garden you've tended and the life you've built, and feeling like a guest in your own home. Nobody sees the moment at the dishwasher. I hear this one so often from women, almost word for word. That strange, specific moment where you're loading the dishwasher for the 11,000th time and it hits you. Not a thought, not a decision, a feeling, a wave that moves through your whole body, and it says, "Is this it? Is this what the rest of my life looks like? Is this what I spent 30 years building toward?" And then the guilt. Oh, the guilt comes fast. because he's not a bad man. That's what makes this so impossibly confusing. He's not cruel, he's not unfaithful, he's not dangerous, he doesn't yell, he doesn't hit. He's just there, present in the house, but absent from the marriage. A roommate who shares your last name, and you feel guilty, deeply, achingly guilty for wanting more, because the world has spent your entire life telling you that not bad should be enough, that you should be grateful, that women your age shouldn't be so demanding, that at 53 or 57 or 61 you should just settle, be thankful for what you have, stop wanting. You've probably said it to yourself 100 times, maybe 1,000. Other women have it so much worse. At least he doesn't drink. At least he comes home. At least he's not like her ex. At least. Two of the smallest words in the English language, and they've kept more women trapped in quiet desperation than any locked door ever could. Your sister asks if everything's okay. You say, "We're fine." And it comes out so smoothly that you almost believe it yourself. Almost. Your daughter calls on Sunday and you say, same old, with a little laugh that means absolutely nothing. Your best friend from college mentions her own divorce and you feel something stir in your chest. Not judgment, not pity, but recognition. A spark of something that says, she got out. And you swallow it. You push it down, you change the subject, because admitting it out loud would make it real. And if it's real, then you have to do something about it. And doing something about it at your age feels like standing at the edge of a cliff in the dark with no idea how deep the water is below. So you stay. Not because you're happy, not even because you believe things will get better, but because staying is the only thing you know how to do. I want to share something with you that almost nobody talks about, and I think it might change the way you see everything. What you're experiencing is not a personal failure. It's not a character flaw. It's not evidence that you're ungrateful or selfish or too demanding or broken in some fundamental way. What you're going through is one of the most well-documented social shifts of the last 3 decades. Researchers call it grey divorce, divorce among couples over the age of 50. And since the 1990s, the rate of grey divorce has more than doubled. I want you to sit with that for a moment. More than doubled. And this is happening while divorce rates among younger couples have actually been declining. Something specific is happening to long marriages, something that society has been very slow to understand. And here's the part that might surprise you. Women initiate roughly 70% of these divorces. 70%, not because of affairs, not because of violence, not because of money. The number one reason women over 50 leave long marriages is something much quieter and much harder to explain to people on the outside. It's the slow, grinding, invisible erosion of emotional connection. The daily experience of being fundamentally alone inside a partnership that looks perfectly fine from the outside. Studies from the American Association of Retired Persons found that the most common phrase women used to describe why they left was not what you might expect. It wasn't, he cheated. It wasn't, he was abusive. It was this, I wanted to be me again. 5 words. I wanted to be me again. And the world responds to those 5 words very differently depending on how old you are when you say them. When a 30-year-old woman leaves a bad relationship, people rally around her. They say, good for you, and you deserve better. When A 55-year-old woman leaves a marriage that looks fine from the outside, a marriage with a nice house and grown children and a husband who never did anything wrong. People look at her differently. They say, "What's wrong with her?" They say, "She's going to regret this." They whisper, "At her age," as if the desire to feel alive, to feel seen, to feel something has an expiration date. It doesn't. So let me say something that you might desperately need to hear right now. This moment, this restlessness, this ache, this quiet earthquake happening underneath the surface of your perfectly normal life, this is not your breakdown. It's your awakening. And maybe part of you just rolled your eyes. That's completely okay. You've probably heard 1,000 self-help slogans that felt hollow. But this isn't a slogan. This is a pattern that researchers and therapists and women themselves describe again and again. The children leave, the house gets quiet, the roles that defined you for decades, mother, caretaker, peacekeeper, the one who holds it all together, those roles begin to thin. And suddenly, maybe for the first time since your 20s, there's space. And in that space, a voice speaks up, your voice. The one you've been putting on hold since you were 26 years old and said, "I do," and slowly, one compromise at a time, one silent dinner at a time, became someone else's wife, someone else's mother, someone else's support system, and forgot to stay someone yourself. And that voice asks, "What about me?" That question isn't selfish. It isn't ungrateful. It's overdue. It's decades overdue. The guilt you carry, that heavy, churning feeling that wanting something more makes you a bad person, that guilt was put there by a culture that taught women your age one very specific lesson, that self-sacrifice is the highest form of love, that a good wife doesn't want, a good mother endures, a good woman puts herself last and calls it grace and never, ever complains. But here's the truth that nobody told you when you were learning those lessons. You can't pour from a cup that's been empty for 15 years. And the fact that you're finally noticing it's empty, that's not weakness. That's not selfishness. That might be the bravest thing you've done in a very long time. And you're not too old for this. The average life expectancy for a woman in the developed world is over 80 years. That means at 55, you could have 25 or 30 years ahead of you. 30 years. That's not a footnote. That's not an epilogue. That's an entire second act. And the only real question is, what do you want it to look like? Now, this is where things get real, because knowing you feel stuck and knowing what to do about it are two very different things. So here are a few things that women who've walked this path before you wish someone had told them when they were right where you are now. The first is this: you don't have to make a decision right now. That pressure you feel, that the urgency to either fix everything or blow everything up, that pressure isn't real. It feels real. It feels like the walls are closing in and you have to choose right this second. But you don't. Some of the wisest women who navigated this season of their lives took months, sometimes years, to simply sit with the question. There's real power in pausing. There's genuine courage in saying, I don't have an answer yet, and I'm going to be okay with that for now. The world wants you to rush. You don't owe the world your timeline. The second thing, and I hear this one echoed by nearly every woman who's come through the other side, is that you need at least one person who knows the truth, not the curated truth, not the we're working through some things truth, the real, messy, complicated, scary truth. A therapist, a sister you trust completely, a friend who won't judge you, someone, because the thing about carrying this kind of pain alone is that it grows in the dark. It gets heavier every year. Every woman who's made it through will tell you the same thing. The moment she said it out loud to one person who actually listened without trying to fix her, that was the moment things began to shift. Not because that person had answers, but because the secret lost its power. And the third thing, the one that sounds simple but might change everything, is this. Start paying attention to what makes you feel like yourself again. Not who you are as a wife, not who you are as a mother or a grandmother or the person who remembers everyone's birthday and keeps the house running, but you, the version of you that existed before all of those roles piled on top of each other until you couldn't see her anymore. Maybe that means picking up something you set down 20 years ago because there was never time. A class, a creative project, a friendship that went quiet. Maybe it means spending an entire Saturday afternoon doing absolutely nothing and realising that you can't remember the last time you gave yourself permission to do that. Whatever it is, however small it seems, that act of reconnecting with yourself is not trivial. It's the first thread you pull to start unravelling the knot. I want to be very clear about something before we close. This is not a video telling you to leave your marriage. That decision is yours. It's deeply personal. It's enormously complex. It touches finances and children and family and faith and identity and 1,000 things that nobody, least of all me, can fully understand about your specific life. Nobody should make that decision for you. Some women hear this and realise they want to fight for their marriage, but with new honesty and new tools. Some women hear this and realise they already made their decision a long time ago and just needed permission to finally admit it. Both of those paths are valid. Both take enormous courage, and both begin with the same thing, telling yourself the truth. What I'm saying is simpler than leave or stay. I'm saying you're not crazy, you're not broken, you're not asking for too much, and you're not alone. Millions of women, literally millions, are lying in bed right now at this very moment, feeling the exact same ache you feel. And slowly, quietly, one by one, they're beginning to ask the questions that have been stuck in their throats for years. You're not the only one. If you're ready for something concrete, real books that other women say help them find their way back to themselves after years of feeling lost, I made a video about exactly that. 7 books that women who walked through this season say changed everything. I'll link it right here and in the description below. But for right now, just know this. The life you've lived so far, the love you gave, the years you invested, the countless versions of yourself you became for other people, none of that was wasted. Not one day of it. It brought you here. It made you who you are. And who you are is someone worth finding again. Your years are not written yet. What you do with them is yours to decide. I'd love to hear your story in the comments below, even if it's just one sentence. Even if you've never said it out loud before, this is a safe place. And sometimes just typing the words where someone might read them, that's the first step toward everything that comes next. And if you know a woman who needs to hear this tonight, send it to her quietly. She might not say thank you right away, but she'll know she's not alone. Take care of yourself tonight.